Hi everyone, good morning. Today I wanted to connect with you because it is really a very special day, and it is the solar eclipse of June 21st. It is happening in the constellation of Cancer. It is also World Yoga Day, World Music Day. It's also Father's Day. So, being such a special day, I thought I will make a quick connect and talk about something that I have been meaning to talk for a very long time. And this is to do with I've actually had a very transcendental healing experience just now. Typically during eclipse time, I heal, I connect to the source, and I send out divine healing energies to the world and all the beings, animate and inanimate in the world. And something has really been bothering me since the sudden recent news we heard of a celebrity suicide. And without dwelling a lot on that, I wanted to talk to you about the shape and structure of a mental illness. Um, India stands second in the whole world for depression. The statistics are really alarming in terms of suicide. There are 8 lakh suicides that happen annually, and this is even just the numbers that are tracked. There are scores and scores of death that doesn't get tracked in India, primarily because of lack of interest and a disbelief and apathy in the system. And so an 8 lakh number is in itself tremendous. So I wanted to kind of first talk about the culture of mental health in India. People don't give it the credence that it deserves. There are pockets of reactions. So the first one is to completely brush it off. They will say, "Oh, you're feeling sad? Cheer up," you know. Or they will say, "Oh, depression? What is depression? How do you know it is depression?" So there are people who gaslight you like that, who don't even want to acknowledge it. And then there are people who get immediately into solutioning mode, which is like, "Oh, you have depression. Oh, this is a lot of over intelligence." This happens to pseudo intellectuals who read about all this stuff in books of psychology, or who read Sartre or Descartes. And there are these pockets of people who completely scorn and ridicule you because you're sharing something that is of such a tremendous magnitude of pain within that you can't hold it in any longer. So I'm not talking from a place of not knowing. I want to come clean and state categorically that I have suffered deep depression for years, and I have severe anxiety, and this is primarily a very real thing. So it might be utterly surprising to people who look at me from a distance and who say, "Oh, she's really successful and she's highly educated," and so on and so forth and blah, right? But it is true, and I'm speaking from personal experience. And I've also observed mental health at really close quarters, um, at a price that is very dear. And I have kind of watched helplessly the damage that it can cause. And today being such an important day, I wanted to talk about something that will cause change, that will create a quantum of action. And I know a lot of people have come forward to talk about this earlier. Um, there are foundations that are working towards it. There's a lot of awareness that has been created. There are books that have been written. There are people who have come out with personal accounts of their journey, right? So having said all of this and acknowledged all of it, I still want to look at the shape and structure of what depression looks like and what anxiety looks like. So let's talk about anxiety first, because that's easier to understand and it's much more relatable. So anxiety is a constant feeling of fear and unease. So the spectrum is from unease all the way to absolute fear without rationale or reason. So we all know that fear paralyzes. So the structure of an anxiety attack is you can't breathe, your heart starts to thud really fast and loudly, and it gets really uncomfortable. You're like, something is happening with my heart. That's the extent of discomfort that you can feel at the rate at which it beats. The pulse accelerates anywhere between 100 to 220, and it does resemble very closely a tachycardic attack or arrhythmia, which is a heart disorder. A panic attack is similar to that. uh, you can't think clearly. You sometimes lose the sense of smell and taste, and your systems start to shut down, which means you can't cognize your surroundings. You can't make sense of people who are talking to you. The sounds get really blurred. Their faces become very very blurry, and everything gets hazy around you. And for at least the first few minutes, which could be easily 15 minutes, anywhere between 6 minutes to 15 minutes is the first stage of a panic attack. You are completely um, disembodied and paralyzed with fear, and whatever you try to do to come out of it, it doesn't seem to help. So with a lot of reading up on what the symptoms are, you can actually understand anxiety and recognize it. So there are many forms of anxiety. There is personal anxiety, that is fear for self. There is social anxiety, fear of going out and talking to people or mingling in crowds, something like stage fright, right? Regular, on a daily basis, you can have fear of people, which means simple things like getting into an elevator where there are already people, or going to get a glass of water from the water cooler where there are 4 or 5 people waiting to collect water, or getting into an ATM to collect cash when already you see a queue. You will automatically start to avoid these things, very very simple things. Your life will change. You'll start to withdraw from people, avoid crowds, avoid speaking, hold your thoughts to yourself. And sometimes you will be speaking, but the voice is so low that people will not even be able to understand what you're saying, and sometimes they don't pay attention to you. And it would be okay if you don't recognize that. But the sad part of anxiety is, you actually, when you're speaking and when people can't hear you in a crowded room, they don't turn their head or pay attention or acknowledge what you're saying. At such times, what you do is you turn that against yourself. You say, these people don't care about me, these people hate me, these people don't want me here, I am worthless, I am not important, what I'm saying does not matter. So all of these thoughts will start to go in like arrows into your self esteem, and you start getting sadder and sadder and more worried and clenched up within. This is what anxiety looks like. Your breath stops, You start feeling thirsty. You can't even go and get a glass of water for yourself. And if it's a very, very severe anxiety attack, you go into fetal position. Your knees are drawn up to your chin. You're just closing your eyes and ears, and you don't want the world anymore. You just want to go away from the world. This is what anxiety looks like. So, it is really, really cruel for someone to look at a person and completely deny or refute the fact that this is an illness, this is a mental illness. Please recognize that anxiety has many, many shapes and forms, and people struggle with it on a daily basis. And it's an embarrassment. People don't want to state about it outside, people don't want to talk about it, people don't understand enough to go out and state that they have anxiety. The hard fact is, it takes courage, it takes something of such magnitude, someone really young who has taken his or her own life, and then it hits you that you need to build the awareness. And even prior to incidents like this, I have been wanting to do this, but shame on me that I haven't really taken the effort to build the awareness earlier. And I do have people who kind of watch my channel, who look for updates from my end, and so that's the reason why I am making this. Please get help. There are so many channels on social media where people assist with anxiety, people build the knowledge, people give you cognitive tools with which you can really manage your anxiety. One simple trick that I was taught by my daughter to handle anxiety is to just do simple things for yourself. Look around your room, name 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can smell, 2 things that you can taste, and 1 thing that you can hear. Or whichever way you want to kind of ground your senses, just ground yourself. Look around yourself, ground yourself. Another thing to do is to go and touch soil. If you have potted plants in your house, just go and touch the earth. Feel the earth, feel the moisture, feel the graininess and all that, and that's a very good way of grounding yourself or earthing yourself. Another simple trick is to just drink water or call a friend. These are all tools, and these are very simple things that I have tried and seem to work for me. I don't have a magic bullet, I don't have great formula, but it helps. Now, the larger beast called depression, right? Depression is extremely, extremely real. Please deal with it. Depression is a disease. It is a physical disease as much as is a headache or a stomach ache or an injury that you have had. And the degree of pain is inexplicable, indescribable. People cannot put it into words. People cannot understand the shape of this dark beast that seems to swallow them. I have had mornings where I would not even get out of bed. I wouldn't want to face the world. I would look at my calendar and feel so tired at all the lists of meetings that I had to attend. And I would just cover my comforter and go to bed until my assistant would call me stridently, trying to find out why I wasn't at work already. So it took me many years to even understand that I had clinical depression. The shape of this dark feeling can appear in many ways. It can stress you out. You start talking rapidly sometimes. It can stress you to such an extent that you shut down all your systems. You don't want to think. You don't want to know time. You don't want to eat or drink. You can't sleep. You become an insomniac. You can't sleep well or sleep deeply. You don't feel pain sometimes. You don't feel anything sometimes. Sometimes you feel too much. Sometimes you feel it's better to die. Sometimes you feel, if I self harm, will I feel something? There are so many ways in which depression manifests. You start shutting out people, you shut out friends, you don't want to talk to them, You start doubting and worrying about everyone around you. Your trust index gets into zero and sometimes negative, because you can't trust anybody outside in the world. Not your parents, not your siblings, not your family, not the person you're married to, not your children. None of them you will want to trust. Sometimes you won't even trust yourself. You can't even trust yourself to the extent of climbing stairs. Simple tasks like using an elevator, climbing stairs, turning on the stove, and cooking something for yourself. These will become insurmountable. You will feel they're so large that you won't be able to do. The ways in which this will affect you is you will have fear of any work. You won't feel like looking at your work. You won't feel like understanding your work. Even if you get to this shape of, okay, let me open my laptop and look at the work, and your brain is trying to process that information, you still will feel, there is some beast here. This beast is telling me, don't do it, it's bad for you, don't do it, it's bad for you. So there's always this inner voice that is second guessing yourself. It is second guessing your self worth. It is second guessing your capability, your productivity, the value that you give yourself. Every single aspect of yourself, it starts to second guess. It becomes an ugly voice, like a demon inside, that you can't control anymore. And you can't explain any of this to somebody who does not have depression or hasn't experienced depression. But the statistic is 1 in 3 people in India faces clinical depression. 2 in 3 people faces some form of depression that requires medical assistance. So this is a very, very large condition that sits on the spectrum of mental health. It's documented, and there are medicines that are prescribed for it. If you seek medical assistance, in all likelihood, you will be given an SSRI, which is a serotonin uptake inhibitor. And what it does is it kind of balances your serotonin hormone and oxytocin hormones, which are your happiness hormones. These again have tremendous side effects. So before you seek medical assistance and jump into the taking a pill, right, first at least try to read up on it and understand the shape of the disease. It is mental health. It is definitely a disease. There is no getting away from it by ignoring it, not looking at it, saying it does not exist, pretending as if it is an imaginary beast, that if you ignore it, it's going to go away. It can't, it won't. It is as bad as, like I said, an injury or a physical discomfort that you have, like a headache or a stomach ache. And it is definitely not as temporary as any of these. It is permanent. It will last for years and years, to such an extent that sometimes you definitely feel death is the answer. It is easier, but it is never the answer. So, let me talk a little bit about self harm and suicide. As a mother, I have two children, and every time I hear news about a sudden death, that can be a natural disaster like earthquakes or air crashes and stuff, that can be forced violence, like we are seeing currently with the Black Lives Matter. I wouldn't say it's current, it's definitely centuries old, but death of that nature, you know unnecessary death like school shootings, or these celebrity suicides, right? Every time I see that, I'm gripped by this inexplicable fear. I can't even put it into words. I think there is no greater fear that a mother has, uh, more than something untoward happening to her offspring. I'm sure every parent will agree. Not only a mother, a father also will share the same fear. It is topmost on the list of every parent. So I want to be able to at least put voice to that fear that I have. Suicide is not the answer. Um, it cuts short a very, very rare experience and a blessing that you're given in terms of taking a human birth. And every time you fall, the onus is on you to pick yourself up through whatever mechanism. If you really feel the intent to self harm, call a friend, inform them that you are taking a sedative and sleep it at least. At least give it that first attempt of, I'm going to shut out the world for a while and take a small relaxant and sleep it off for a few hours, and the impulse will pass. The idea is always to reach out to someone. So call a friend or just go across and meet somebody. It need not be anyone, it can be a stranger. There was a story which I read recently, which talked about another celebrity that I don't want to name. Okay, this celebrity was a tennis player, and he really had not been seeing success or a successful run for a very, very long time. And he decided to commit suicide, and he walked to the beach. And when he walked to the beach, he saw a handicapped little girl who was specially challenged. She was handicapped with her uh, a leg affected with polio, and she was, despite that, selling peanuts on the beach and making her livelihood. This tennis player spoke to her for 5-10 minutes, and his entire perspective on life changed. His perspective on how to handle challenges changed, and he immediately felt, I don't need to end my life. There are ways to reach the light and live this life with renewed effort and see that I fulfill my life path, right? So sometimes it takes just a small conversation with a stranger for you to be able to really see that suicide is not the answer. It really, really is the most important message of today's video that I want to convey, that death, while it does seem like a welcome embrace in situations where you simply cannot handle the pain that is happening inside, it still is not the answer. You need to fight for yourself. You have friends who care for you, you have family, you have parents, and in this ecosystem, not a single soul will be able to deal with the fact that somebody ended their life because of mental health issues. So there are so many avenues, so many call helplines that will talk to you every time you hit that low point. Forget all of those also. There are so many friends who will listen to you regardless of the time. You definitely will have someone who will care enough to see that you don't take that extreme step. Please, please consider my conversation today. Look at me. I have faced both of these for years together. This is an actual fact. I have managed to pull myself up always and put the pieces back together. It took painstaking effort. It took loneliness, extreme loneliness sometimes. It took self talk. I had to tell myself that there may be nobody who cares in the world, but I care about myself. It took self love. Sometimes, despite all that, even I would not have self love. I would have self loathing actually. Sometimes I would hate myself so much. But despite that, I'm making this video because primarily because today is an eclipse, and it calls for change. It calls for you to love yourself unconditionally, to believe in yourself, to know your self worth. Sometimes sit and write lists about yourself in terms of what are all the good things that you see about yourself and why you should live, and stick it somewhere where you can see it all the time, right? So that you will know your self worth. Sometimes it need not even have any reason. You are born, that itself is a great miracle. Being is a great miracle. Living as a sentient being who is able to see this beautiful world, who is able to be a human and help animals or animate, inanimate things in this world, that in itself is a miracle. It's a great blessing. It doesn't come every lifetime that you are born as a human being, right? So it is precious. Use that precious gift that you have. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for listening to me. I hope this video is useful for you guys. I will put a few links that I have found helpful for my journey in the description of this video, and I hope it assists you as well. God bless and thank you so much.